Hello, my name is Chad Kassem from Acoustic Sounds, Analog Productions, and Quality Record Pressings. And today, I want to thank you all for the tremendous support we got on the Atlantic 75 for 75 series. I mean, it's been amazing. We're just getting calls and thank yous and emails, and people all over the world have been so excited about this. In fact, 400 people subscribed to this series already, which is amazing. And it won't be long before, that we'll sell the 500. So again, thank everybody for subscribing, for putting their money where their mouth is, for supporting this series. We're very, very happy, and we really appreciate y'all and the support. We understand that what it is y'all want. Y'all want to hear the same thing as I want to hear. I want to hear my favorite record sounding better than they've ever sounded before. And that's why, it costs more. That's why we're willing to spend $60 a record to hear these great records sound better than they ever sounded before. And we know that 45 RPM cuts, I know it's a little more inconvenient and it costs a little more. But these are the things that, the reasons why they sound better. We use the absolute original master tape. On some of them, we weren't able to find the original master tape, but sometimes a one-off non-EQ tape copy sounds amazing. Sometimes the one-off EQ copy sounds amazing. And in those cases, if we can't find the master, that's what we're going to use. But if those don't meet our standard, we're going to pass. And on the back of the record, we will list the source. And again, most of them are going to be analog off the original analog tapes, but we will list the source. We've been transparent since the beginning of Analog Productions, and we're not going to stop now. But we're not going to pass on a great title that people want that sounds good. So we're just going to make the decision and let y'all know. Some of these the newer records are being done, there were high-res recordings. So that's the only way. That's the master. And so we'll be transparent on everything, and we also are going to, on the website, list what mastering engineer we use for each title. Again, we know that you guys demand the best. Y'all want the best sounding versions. You have these records already. These records, some of them can be found in the used bin, if you want the original. But you're wanting better than the original, and that's what we're going to try to provide. And so far, we're very, very pleased on what we're hearing. So there's a couple of things I want to mention. For those of you who are wondering, the best-selling title is the Phil Collins Face Value. So also the thing is we want to know that we only have one. The Phil Collins will not be coming out on SACD, and we only have one chance to press the Phil Collins title. So if you want Phil Collins, buy now, because there's only one chance. The other individual titles that have been selling well, again, the Genesis, the Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. The Yes titles are selling amazing, and the Stone Temple Pilots are selling amazing. And I am starting to learn that people really want some records from the 90s and 2000. And I'm going to do my best to learn more about those popular titles and bring some of those records to y'all in the future. A couple other things people have asked about is the Buffalo Springfield. You're going to do the mono or the stereo? I'm not sure. We're going to get the master tapes. We're going to listen to them all. We're going to make the decision later, but I'm really going to take it real serious. Also, the Boss Skags, they wanted to know, am I going to do the original mix or the 76 remix? It looks like we're going to use the original mix on that. Everybody's asking about the Genesis. Chris Bellman is going to be the one cutting the Genesis. He did the Genesis for the classic records. We had most of the parts on the Genesis for the classic. Now, classic records never did the Trick of the Tail, so that's going to be a new cut. We haven't cut that yet. And there was a couple of damaged parts on the Genesis that he did for classic. So he's going to have to recut those. But most of the Genesis was originally cut for classic by Chris Bellman, and we're going to use those parts. For the Otis Blue and the Dusty in Memphis, the Otis Blue was on Analog Productions before. We're going to use those same great parts that Kevin did once before. And we're, because when you say the Otis Redding, Otis in Blue, and the Dusty Springfield in Memphis, people know that they're the top 70. They're in the top 75 of the Atlantic releases. So we're going to include those. On the Dusty in Memphis, we're going to make it a new gatefold, which it wasn't a gatefold before, and we're going to add 3 bonus songs because it's such a short record. The 3 bonus songs we're going to add is Willie and Laura Mae Jones, which is Tony Joe White wrote that song. It's one of my favorites. That Old Sweet Roll, What Do You Do When Love Dies? Now, this is a short record, so the first side will be 11 minutes. The second side will be 12 minutes. The third side will be 9 minutes. And the fourth side will be 8 minutes. So it makes for a perfect 45 to add those 3 songs as a bonus. So they'll be newly recut on a gatefold album and cut from the original analog tape. Now, a lot of people ask us why we didn't do artists like AC/DC, ABBA, Allman Brothers, Cream, King Crimson, the Bee Gees, ELP, Blind Faith, Jewel, and the Rolling Stones. While these artists were on the Atlantic label when they came out, Atlantic didn't own these titles. They licensed these titles. So these either reverted back to the original artists that own it or another label. So these aren't part of the Atlantic. I'm sorry. It would be great to do some of the Stones, some of the Cream, Allman Brothers, AC/DC. But Atlantic doesn't own these titles, so sorry. Of course, we're trying to add, there's 5 or so records we didn't mention that we're releasing. One of those is the Billy Cobham Spectrum. We're going to add that. Another one is a new artist that y'all are going to be very happy to hear, but we can't announce that yet. And those are being done by High Res Digital because it's a new artist that's very, very popular new music. We're going to, when we're able to announce that, we're going to announce it. Now, as of now, only 2 of the records have been pressed at RTI. One of them is the Mingus Blues and Roots and the John Prime's first album. The first 2,000 of those records were pressed at QRP on both the Prime and the Mingus, and the other 2,000 were pressed at RTI. Now, we're thinking that we can press the rest of the series all at QRP. But we are great friends with RTI, and if we need their help, they said they would help us and press. If things get busy again and we can't handle the pressing, we're going to have RTI help us press. They're a great pressing plant. QRP, we try to stay in the same neighborhood as RTI, and we think we're and similar in quality. So I used to use RTI before I opened up Quality Record Pressings from 1989 to 2010. We used RTI. So anyway, we want to thank everybody for subscribing, and we also want to let people know about that we're going to try to do 3 per month as long as we can. So it'll be 3, maybe 2. And we're going to list the first batches. The first 3 that coming out October 6th that are Mingus Blues and Roots, Phil Collins' Face Value, and John Prime's first album. The second batch will be November 3rd, Genesis Selling England by the Pound, Dr. John in the Right Place, and Foreigner's first album. December 8th will be Bad Company, Phil Collins' Hello, I Must Be Going, and Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for ordering. Thank you all for supporting Acoustic Sounds. There's much more great news to come. Just so many titles from other labels, also other Atlantic. It's been an honor working with Atlantic, Craig Cowman, and the whole crew at Atlantic. They're wonderful to work with. It's an honor. We're having a lot of fun. We've been listening to a lot of these records. They sound terrific. We think that y'all are going to love them. And we appreciate the support. as long as we keep selling records the way we're doing, there'll be many more great records to come. And if you want to know about the latest at Acoustic Sounds, subscribe to our email newsletter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, because between the two, we're going to be announcing all what's coming. It's the way to stay in touch with the latest releases. And again, thank you for your support.
Please like and subscribe for more audiophile content.